hopefully I would say that today might be our last class for our training. Hopefully we should be done with the entire dashboard, and we will see. If in case you have any questions, any concerns, you can reach out to my email at any time, and we can discuss it out accordingly. So let's start with the dashboard, the remaining things that we need to discuss on the dashboard. Last call, Chandan, I have shared my screen. Let me know once you can see the screen.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. And the last call we discussed about the selectors, right? We discussed about the attribute element selector, we saw the metric selector, we saw the metric condition. Now the next thing that we're going to discuss is about the panel stack and the panel selector. First, before we discuss about the panel selector, I want to something discuss about the panel stack. A panel stack is nothing but just a collection of panels within the stack. You can just imagine a panel stack as a book. Within the panel stack you can have multiple panels, like within the book you can have multiple pages, and on top of that you can have a selector which will allow you to select the panels for which you want to see the data. So now let's say I have added one panel stack, and I have added 3 panels in it. My first panel displays different set of a data, very different formatting. My second panels altogether has a different set of data with altogether different set of formatting. So whatever is your requirement, based on that you can just create your panels, and the what kind of information you want to display within that panels, you can always modify it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we will insert one panel stack, and within that panel stack we will try to insert the panels, and we will see how we can add the reports, how we can how you can add the uh, how we can add the data sets and do the formatting, and on top of that we will add a selector. So whenever you want to insert a panel stack, click on insert, and there is an option where you can add a panel stack. So I'm going to click on add insert a panel stack. I will select the entire section, and if you look over here, as soon as I add the panel stack, by default one panel will be added. So you can see this is the panel 1 which has been added by default. If in case you want to add the more panels, what you have to do is right click, go to the panel option, go to the manage, and you can just simply add over here to add the more panels. So I'm going to click on add, and if you look over here, we are trying to add 3 panels within the panel stack. We can even rename the panels over here, and just remember one thing: whatever the name of a panel that you set up over here, that is exactly what's going to reflect under the selector. So if in case I want to name this panel as first, I'm going to rename this panel as, let's say, second, and I'm going to rename this panel as third. So whatever the name of a panel that I give over here, that is exactly what is going to display in my panel selector. So we added a panel stack, we added 3 panels under it, and I'm just going to say okay. As of now we are under the first panel. Let's just try to add some reports and do some formatting around it. I'm going to insert more grids in my document, so I'm just going to insert some more data sets. I will select cube 1 and cube 2, and I will add this data sets into my report as well. As I've said in the last call, that it's not compulsory that you have to select all your data sets when you say create new document. You can even add the data sets at any point of time. So over here we have added 2 more reports into our dashboard. So let's try to add some grids over here under the first panel. Let's say I'm going to add this particular report. I have your call center and the corresponding metrics, that is a call and discount. I'm just going to resize this, and let's say within this I will also add a selector. So I will say insert a selector. I'm just going to add a drop down selector, and over here I'm inserting a one more selector. Let's say this is based on year. Right click, go to the properties. I'm going to disable the title bar, and under selector I'm going to make it available for all viewers, and I will say okay. So this is the first panel under which we have inserted a grid, and along with the grid we have also inserted a attribute element selector. Now we will go to the second panel. Just right click, go to the panels and say display next. As soon as you click on next, you can see we are under a second panel. Under the second panel, we will add altogether different data set and look and feel. So first I'm going to add a text box. Let's say this I'm going to say as second panel. I'm going to do a bit of formatting. Change the color to blue. Okay. All right. I will insert a grid over here as well. Let's say insert grid. I'm going to add a grid over here. And within that grid, I'm going to add certain attributes and metrics. So now let's say I will add a country. I will add a category. And along with that, I'm going to see the data for revenue. And let's say profit. Okay, that's all. So I can even change the formatting over here. I want to display this grid as with a different auto style. I'll come over here. I will select this auto style, and this is going to display the data in this format. Along with this, I can even insert an image. So let me just insert an image over here as well. I'm going to give the location of the images, and I'm going to say okay. So even this image has been added. So under a second panel, what we have done is we just simply added a text field. We added an image and a grid. We'll go to the third panel now. We'll say display next. And under this, what I'm going to do is first I'm going to insert a grid. And under this, I'm going to add a region. I'm going to add, let's say, gross revenue. And I'm going to add a profit. And this I want to display as a graph. So what I'm going to do is I'll right click over here. I'll go to the view mode and I will say graph view. So we have three panels, and in all the three panels, we are displaying different set of data with different formatting. And now on top of this, I want a selector. So what happens when the user runs this particular dashboard? They can come over here, and whatever the panel they select, based on that corresponding to it, the data will be displayed. So over here, I need a one selector, which will allow me to select the panels. Before that, I will just remove the title bar from here. I don't want to display the title bar. I will say OK. And the last thing that I need to do is I need to insert a selector. Let's say this time I'm going to select a radio button. So I will add a selector over here. And this I'm going to say right click, go to the properties, remove the title bar, and under the selector I'm going to say this is my last selector, which is panel selector. I will say OK, and that's it. I can even rename this layout. Let's see, I'm going to give this name as third, and I'm going to say OK, and let me just save this particular dashboard. We'll come back to our MicroStrategy web over here. What happened? 1 second. We're gonna run this dashboard. Okay. So once we execute this particular dashboard, I'll directly come to the third layout, and you can see now this is a panel selector which has been added. This panel selector is based on exactly the name of panels that we have given. Under first panel, you can see my data. I have a drop down where I can see the data for 2010 or 2011 or 2012. That is based on the selector, that the selector values that you select. If I click on the second panel, you can see my text field, that is a second panel, then an image and a second grid which has been displayed. If I click on third, my graph report has to be displayed, and that is what exactly it's been done. So every panel has a different look and feel, and if you look over here, on top of that we have added a selector. So when user selects the first panel, it's going to display that panel. If I click on second, it's going to display me second panel. If I click on third, it's going to display me the third panel. So again, it depends upon your requirement, how exactly you want to format your dashboard. And even if in case you want to give us a different panel look, you can always you can always do it by adding a panel stack. Within the panel stack, you can add a multiple panels, and on top of that, you can add a panel selector. Is this clear with respect to panels and panel selector? Any question over here, guys?
No.
All right.
So I had one question.
Sure, please.
So can we like uh, into one panel or into one grid, can we bring columns from two different data sets?
Yes. For that, you need to have one attributes in common. So if you look over here, do I have any common call center and call center? If you look at this two grids, okay, I can bring in the category, I can bring in the year from year, but the joining will happen on call center. So you need a common attribute between these two data sets in order to pull the information. So now let's say I already have a year and call center, call and discount, which is coming from this data set. I can even pull this particular metric over here that I have to do it. I can do that as well. Let me just and say insert a grid. Let me just do it from web instead. I go to design mode. Okay, I'll go to the previous panels. Okay, this is the year call center, and let's see if in case I want to add a profit. See, I can add a profit as well, which is altogether coming from different data set. I have year call center, which is coming from here. I have placed the cost and discount, and now I'm pulling a profit from here. So it is possible, but for that you just need to have a common attribute. You can see a blue dot over here. That is the for the call center, which means that I have a common attribute across the different data set, and that's the reason I can pull the information from cube 1 data set as well as cube 3 data set under a one report in my dashboard. Does it answer your query, Chandan?
Yeah. So the join is happening at the,
Call
like,
center
will
level.
it take the microstrategy?
No,
Okay. I mean, is microstrategy doing this or actually happening database level?
no, not the database level, at the microstrategy on fly.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
No problem. So I will just come back and rerun this dashboard because I've made some changes. I'm just going to close this. I'm going to reopen my dashboard over here. So this is all about the panel stack and panel selector. The next thing that I'm going to discuss over here is about the linkings. Okay. Now let me go back over here. This is my first page of my dashboard. I want to enable a link for this particular text field. So what I'm trying to say over here is that if user clicks on this particular text field, either it should open a internet or intranet pages, or it can open a MicroStrategy existing reports or documents possible. And for that, you have to enable the links. And how you can do that? Just right click on the text field. There is an option which says edit links, and under that you can see either we can navigate to a specific URL, or I can run any of the existing reports or documents which are available in MicroStrategy. We will see both of these things. Let's say I want to enable a link over here, and the website that I want to open is google.com. I want to open this in a different window. I will say OK. I will say save. And now when I re-execute my dashboard, okay, now when I re-execute my dashboard, you can see a link has been generated. And if I click on this link, a different window will be open, and it's opening up the google.com. So basically, if I want, whenever user clicks on this link, it should open any of my company page or any of the internet page. You can always do it via edit links. Now let's say I don't want to open any internet or intranet page. Let's open a existing reports or a document in MicroStrategy. Even that is possible. Come back over here, right click on the text field, again say edit links, and instead of navigate to this URL, you can click on run this report or a document. You can click over here, you can select the report that you want to get it executed or you want to get it routed to. So I'm just going to click on any one of the report. Let's say this one. I'm going to say open. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to save this, and now what we have done is that we have edited the links for this particular text field, which will open a certain reports or a document. So over here I'm going to refresh my dashboard, and this time this should open a new report, that is the report that we have selected. So when I click on this link, you can see it is routing to a MicroStrategy environment only, and the auto style report has been displayed because when we edited the links, we have selected the report or a document to which it has to get it executed. So either you can open an internet or intranet page, or you can even route it to report or a document within the MicroStrategy. So that is the one way of a linking that you can do within the MicroStrategy, that is on a text field. Now, if I come back to this dashboard, let's say I have this report where I have category which is displaying me the category information: books, electronics, movies, and music. I need to generate one more link. When if user click on this books, it should open a document or a report which gives me the information about the selection I do. So if I select a book, it should pass the prompt answer as book, and corresponding to that my data should be displayed in the linked report. So what I will do is I will create one sample report which can accept the category parameters. So basically I need to have a category prompt under it, and now over here I will try to enable the links. As of now there is no links, right? So I cannot click on books and it's going to open up a different report with the parameter passed as books. No, as of now there is no links. The link is only generated for the text field. What if I want to enable the link for the attribute element as well? So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one sample report. I'm going to create one new report under which I'm just going to place the category attribute. I'm going to place the other attributes as well. And I'm just going to place one simple metric or two metrics, let's say. Okay, and on this report I will make sure that I have a prompt on category. Okay, so this is an attribute element prompt on category attribute, and I'm just going to simply save this report. Before I save, I'm just going to change the auto style as well. Let's say this one. I'm going to save this report, and I'm going to give the name as linked report. Okay, so I have one report which can accept the category values. Now if I come back to a dashboard, what is my requirement is that whenever user click on any of these category values, it should open a new report, that is the link report, and whatever the category has been selected, it should pass as the prompt answer. How you can do? Just edit the report, right click on the category attribute, and there is an option which says edit links. When you click on the edit links, it will allow you to select the report or a document to which you have to browse through. Just remember, when you try to create a links on the attribute values, you cannot open any internet or intranet page. That is not possible. When you click on the attribute value, you can just select the MicroStrategy existing report or the document. So I'll click on the browse button. I will select the report that we have created. So I'm just going to select the linked report, and linked report has a prompt on category, right? See, it is over here, it is displaying that we have a prompt on category. So how you want to answer that prompt? I want to answer that prompt dynamically, which means whatever the category values I select, that has to pass it on as it is. So as of now, I will say answer dynamically. We will come back over here and we will see the other options as well. But as of now, I'm saying answer dynamically. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to save this. We'll come back to the dashboard. Let me refresh this page. And this time, I'm just going to close this. And this time, when I click, let's see, our links has been enabled. And if I click on books, my link report will be executed. And you can see the values which have been displayed are only for category. It's only for category books. If I click on different category, let's say movies, my link report is going to show me the data for category movies. So whatever the category I select, based on that, it's going to show me the data. So over here, we have enabled the link from the main dashboard page to the link report, which accepts the category value. So we have a category prompt under it, of course. So whatever the category I select, that gets passed on as the parameter value. And that's the reason my link report is showing me the data based on the categories that we had selected. Good till here?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Anish, when you open that linked report, why are we getting that left side panel?
This is by
Say
default.
project.
This is by default how the report layout should look like. And that's the reason you can enable or disable under your preferences.
Okay. So by default, we can see all the public objects we created in
Yes, yes,
developer.
yes, yes. This is a design mode. So I have an administrator, right? So I have a privileges to add my further objects into the report, and that's the reason it is showing me. But generally, the users will not have it. User will directly see this window.
Okay. So what are the things we can do in web? Like, see, you can do the edit of the design here. That can we create prompts and filters here
No, that's what I said.
on the fly?
No, on the fly, yes, you can do it. You can add the reports. You can add the filters. You can add the prompts as well. But all the options will not be available as what you see under a desktop. Okay, so you cannot create an object prompt over here. You can create an element prompt, that is okay, but you cannot create an object prompt in MicroStrategy web. So there are very limited options, I would say. If you go to the MicroStrategy page and if you click on the new prompt, you can see a certain prompts over here where you can create object prompt over here. That is okay, but at a higher level within the report, you can just create the element filter or element prompt that you can use within the report. So there are few limitations, I would say, that you cannot create all types of object, but you can create a prompt, you can create a filter from here, but you cannot create consolidations, you cannot create any kind of a schema object within MicroStrategy web. But from few
Okay.
of the
If you create a prompt or filter here, does it show up back in developer?
yes, yes, that will be reflected in the developer as well. Yes. Okay, so if I go to the filter over here, you can see I cannot create advanced filters. So that is something that you can be done only from MicroStrategy desktop. Okay,
Okay.
all right, perfect. So I'm just going to close this, and this is my link report. So let's come back to that dashboard, and we will see the other options which are available to answer your prompt. So if I right click, if I say edit links, okay, over here we have said that I want to answer this prompt dynamically, and that's the reason whatever the values you select, the parameters was passed on. If I click over here and if I say no, I don't want to answer it automatically, I want to reprompt it to user. Irrespective of whatever category I select, it has to again prompt it to the user. So I will say prompt user, I will say okay, I will say save, and when I come back over here and I refresh my dashboard, any of the categories I select, it's going to open up the link report, but it's not going to answer the prompt. It's going to reprompt it. So if I click on books, my link report will be open. It will ask me to select the category values. If I select movies over here, in that case, my data is going to show me, my report is going to show me the data for category movies. So that depends how exactly You want to make sure that the prompts have been answered. In the previous example, we said answer dynamically. That's the reason whatever the element we select was answered automatically. But if I say I want to reprompt it to the user, it's going to prompt it to the user. Okay. If in case you want to have a static element list, when I say that, okay, don't display all the elements, just display books and electronics. So I don't want to display all the elements of category under my link report. It's just going to display books and electronics. If I say OK, if I say save, and this time if I refresh my dashboard from here, and if I click on any of this category, again it's going to prompt me. But as of now, the answers are done based on the static element list which we have entered. So if you look over here, it is only displaying the data for books and electronics. That is the already element list that we have defined at a dashboard level. So we said I want to answer that prompt using the books and electronics, and that's the reason whenever I clicked on any of the elements, even if I click on, let's say, music, again it's going to show me the data only for category books and electronics. So now whenever you define a link, you have to decide how the prompts are to be answered. In 95%, I would say it's answered dynamically, because that makes real most sense in the real-time project. So yes, I would say as a practical scenario, I would say it's always going to be the answer dynamically. But yes, I just wanted to show you what are other options which are available. Okay, so there are two types of links that we have seen so far. One which is via text field, and the other which is via attribute element within the report. Okay, now the third type of a link that can exist, the third and the final type of a link that can exist within the dashboard is, let's say I want to enable the links between these two grids. So if I click on books over here, this particular section should get updated. If I click on movies, this particular section should get updated. So I'm trying to use the values of one report as a selector that should get reflected in the second report. And how you can do that? Come back to the MicroStrategy. So what I need is, if I select the category values from here, it should act as a selector and it should reflect the selection under this particular grid. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the links from here, because that's links that we have defined, right? So I'm just going to remove that particular link so that it does not opens up a link report. But what I need is I need to use this as a selector, which should get reflected over here. So I will right click on the category attribute, and there is an option which says use as selector. If I select this option, if I say create, and if I simply save it, I'll go back to the dashboard page, and this time when I refresh it, if I click on, let's say, category books, you will see that this particular section is showing me data only for category books. If I click on movies over here, this will show me the data for category books. So I have two grids within my dashboard, but I'm using the data of one grid as a selector for the another grid. So even this is a one type of a linking that can be done. So whatever the attribute values I select, based on that, this particular grid is getting updated. So there are three types of links that we can have within the MicroStrategy. One which can be done on a text field, through which you can open any kind of an internet or intranet page, or you can open up the MicroStrategy reports or documents. Second, you can enable the links via attribute values, which can open any of the existing reports or a document. And third is within the document itself, where you can use the value of one grid as a selector for the another grid. So these are the three links that we can have it in MicroStrategy dashboard. Is this clear? Any question over here?
No.
No? Perfect. Now, this is all about the links. The next concept that we're going to discuss, the next thing that we're going to discuss are something called as widgets. A widget is a property within the MicroStrategy dashboard where you can display your report in a different format. As of now, whatever we have done is that we have displayed the data either in a grid format or a graph format, right? So now what we're going to do is, let me just add one more panel specifically for the widgets. Okay, a widgets is a property where you can display your data, where you can display your report in a certain format which are available as widgets. You can display the data as a thermometer, you can display as a bubble grid, you can display as a heat map, and so on. In order to display the data in a certain widget, what you need to do is you need to add the minimum number of attributes and metrics to support the widget. We'll come to that. Now let me just insert one simple grid over here. I'm just going to insert one grid. Okay, I'm just going to insert this one grid, and under that, let's say I want to see the data for category, for country, and based on that I want to see the data for revenue, and let's say profit. So two attributes and two metric. I want to display this data in a bubble grid widget. Possible. Just click on this grid and you can come directly to the widget option. As of now, none has been selected, so no widget has been selected. If you click on the drop down over here, there are n number of widgets which comes along with the MicroStrategy. Very simple and very straightforward. You just select the widget in which you want to display it. So let's say I want to display this particular grid and this particular report as a bubble grid. So I've selected a bubble grid over here. I'm going to save this, and now when I go back to dashboard and refresh it, okay, so now if you look over here, my data has been displayed as a bubble grid. So two countries, four categories, size indicates the revenue data, color indicates the profit data. So whatever attributes and metrics you add, based on that, my widget is going to get displayed. We will try to see few more widgets over here. Let's say it's very simple. Just make sure that minimum number of attributes and metrics have been added. You even don't have to remember how many attributes or metrics I need to add. If in case you do not add the minimum number of objects, it will throw you it will not throw you an error as such, but it will not display the data, but it will display a note which says this particular widget requires at least this number of attributes and metrics. We will look into that. Now let's try to see the data for something else. I'm going to remove this category. I'm going to remove from here. I'm going to remove this country as well, and I'm going to remove the profit as well. Okay, so I'm just going to display the revenue data, and I want that my revenue to be displayed based on categories. No, let me just do one thing. I'm going to insert a new grid over here itself, and this time, okay, I'm going to add only the profit data. Okay, so this is the profit metric that we have added. Okay, on top of that, I'm going to add a selector. I'm going to insert a selector over here, that is the drop down selector, let's say, and this selector will be based on, let's say, region. Okay, so I'll go to the properties. I'm going to remove this title bar. Under a selector, I'm going to add a region selector. I don't want to show the all. I will say okay. Now this particular grid I want to display as a cylindrical widget where my profit data will be displayed as a liquid within the cylinder. So I'll go to the property list. Under the widget option, I'm going to select the second widget, which is, let's say, cylinder. I'm going to save this. I'll come back to the dashboard. I'm going to refresh over here, and you will see that my data has been displayed as a cylinder. You can see As of now, my value is around 5.2 million, but the calibration is done from $0 to $100. Does not make sense, right? So what I would do is I will go to the properties. I will change the min and the max values. Maximum, let's say I'm going to keep this as 6 million. I'm going to say okay, and now I can see the level of a liquid. If I change it to something else, let's say region, my value is around $764,000, and you can see the change in the level of a liquid. You can click on any other region, it is 1.3 million, and you can see the rise in the level of a liquid. If I click on southwest, it is 561. Let me do one thing. I'll keep it as 2 million, so I can see a good change in level. If I click on, let's say, northwest, which is 266,000, if I click on northeast, which is around 1.3 million, see, it's a very good interactivity that has been added. You're altogether displaying the data in a different format. It's not a standard grid or graph format, but I've just enabled the cylindrical widget, and you really see a good interactivity over here. On the similar lines, I can even display the data as a thermometer widget. So let me just select the thermometer over here. I'm going to say save, and when I refresh this dashboard, you will see the data as a thermometer, where the mercury level will indicate my metric data. So you can see now, see, it's a rise in the mercury level, which gives me the metric data. So if I click some other region, you can see a dip in the level, and that shows me around $806,000. So it's a very good interactivity. You can altogether show the data in a different format based on your requirement, and whatever the widget you select, according to that my data is going to get displayed. So we saw a simple bubble grid, we saw a cylindrical widget, we saw a thermometer widget as well. Now let's say I want to display this as I want to display a report as a heat map. I can do that as well. I'll come over here. Let's say I want to see the data based on categories. Okay, over here. Let's say I want to see it based on region. Let's say region. Under each region, I want to see for the quarters. I need a profit data, and let's say I have a gross revenue. And this I want to display as a heat map. So under a widget, I'm going to enable the heat map. I'm going to save this. When I refresh my dashboard, the same widget, let me just make it large. This is very small actually. I'm going to make it this as a bigger one. I'm going to remove the selector. I don't need a selector anymore. Okay. And now when I save this and I run this dashboard from web, this particular grid will be displayed as a heat map. So I'm going to refresh this, and now, uh-oh, I just have to re-execute the dashboard. So you can see that now my same grid is displaying the data as a heat map. You can see a very good heat map graph that has been displayed. So I have a outer box based on the regions. Within that I have multiple quarters. The color is indicating me the gross revenue data. Sorry, the blocks are indicating, the block size is indicating me the gross revenue. The color is indicating me the profit data. So you can see a really good heat map chart has been displayed in the output. Let's try to see if one or two more widgets, and thereafter we will see some different topics. So let me go back to the dashboard. Okay, and over here, let's say what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to insert a new grid altogether. I'm going to insert a new grid, and under this, let's say I add region, and I add a metric, that is profit and gross revenue. Let's say one attribute and two metrics, and I display this as a different widget, which is, let's say, as a graph matrix. I'm going to save this, and when I refresh this dashboard over here, one second. So if you look over here, this widget is not showing me any data because we have not added the minimum number of attributes and the metrics. So if you look over here, that this is something that I was saying at the start when we started discussing on widgets. So if you look over here, as we are not fulfilling the minimum number of objects that we need to make it sure to display the data in a certain widget format. So if you look over here, it says this widget requires at least 2 attributes on the rows, 1 on the column axis, and at least 1 metric on a column, or at least 3 attributes on row axis and at least 1 metric on column axis. So by making a use of this node, we can make sure how many number of attributes, how many number of metrics I need to add under the column axis or under the row axis. So I will go back over here to the dashboard. I will make sure that I at least add the minimum number of attributes and the metrics which are required. So over here, I will add one more attribute along with the region. Let's say I add a subcategory attribute, and along with this, let's say I also going to add a quarter attribute. So region attribute, subcategory attribute, quarter attribute as a column axis, and under metric, I'm saying profit and gross revenue. I'm just going to restrict this data to a certain number of subcategories and quarter, just to we get a good graph. So I'm going to add it a filter over here, and I'm just going to say I want to see the data only for few subcategories. That is, I'm just going to select 3 or 4 subcategories: art and architecture, cameras, let's say music, and let me select one more, let's say comedy. And even under a quarter, I will add a qualification. So I will say I'm just interested to see the data for each quarter one, or let's say quarter two as well. That's it. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to save this, and when I go and refresh my dashboard this time, I'm hoping that at least it shows me the data in the required format. And now you can see that's a huge chart. So let me just slice it down further. I will just display only the Q1 data. So what I'm going to do is edit view filter. This is just going to show it for Q1. I'm going to say okay, and along with this, let me just add for the regions as well. Let's say central, northeast, northwest, and south. This is just to I'm just adding a filter just to make it a graph look like simple, so that we can do the analysis. I'm just going to save this, and when I refresh my dashboard over here, at least this time it should give me a good values, a better look and feel, I would say. Yep, you can see it's a better look and feel. And now you can see the data has been displayed for regions, for quarters, and within each I'm displaying the data based on the subcategories and the metric data. So if in case you want to just want to display the data only for one metric, even that is okay. We are displaying two metrics, that's the reason it is displaying as a graph and a line. So let's say I don't want to display the profit data, I will just display the gross revenue information. I'm going to save this, and when I refresh, it's just going to show me one metric. It's not going to show me the red lines, it's just going to show me the graph chart. So if you look over here, this data has been displayed. So these are the region information, these are the quarter, and within each I'm displaying the subcategory and the gross revenue information. Still I cannot see the data that visible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on one of the graph. It's going to expand it and you can do the analysis over here. So the graph that you're seeing over here is for Central 2010 Q1. You can see these are the subcategories, these are the corresponding gross revenue, and you can do the analysis. If you want to see the data for, let's say, Northeast 2011 Q1, I will double click over here. That corresponding graph will be zoomed in, and you can do the detail analysis. So these are the different formats in which you can actually display your grid. There are different widgets which are available in your MicroStrategy. Two things that you have to do. You have to make sure the minimum number of attributes and metrics are added. You make sure you select the correct attributes and the metrics for which you want to see the data, and you select the widget, which particular widget you want to, in which particular widget format you want to display the data. And now and thereafter, when you run the dashboard from the web, as per the widget that you have selected, the corresponding data will be displayed in that particular format. So it's a very simple. You just have to make sure the number of attributes and the metrics have been selected. You select the correct widget as per your requirement, and that is all. I'll just take a pause over here. Any question with respect to the widgets? No? Perfect. The next thing that I want to discuss in the dashboard, let's say, if you remember, there was something we discussed as a page by. If you remember, when we executed the report, we also saw something called as page by. Over here also we can display the data. We can display some information about the attribute, some data about the attribute as a page by. But in dashboard it is called as grouping. And how you can do that? Let's say for one of the page. Let's say for this particular page, I want to add a grouping. I want to add a page by on a category. So what I have to do is right click on the category attribute, and there is an option where you can say add to grouping. As soon as I add an attribute to the grouping, you can see a category attribute has been added to a grouping. When I save this, if I go back to the dashboard, if I refresh this page, under a second layout, you will see a group a category attribute has been added as a grouping. So you can see over here, a category books has been selected, and that's the reason you can see the data only for category books. If you click over here, if you select some other categories, if you select electronics, it's going to show me the data for electronics. The entire page will get refreshed. It's not that only one report has been targeted. Under this page I just have one report, and that's the reason you can see the changes over here. But whenever you add an attribute under a grouping section, and whatever the values of attribute you select from there, it's going to impact the entire layout of your dashboard. So if we click over here and I select music, say for an example, my entire layout is going to get refreshed based on the selection that I do. Now let's say over here I want to conditionally show and hide something. Okay, if you remember, there was something called as threshold. Okay, threshold, we understand, we define some condition, and based on that we can apply a formatting. But within the dashboard, I want to conditionally show and hide something. I would say if my category is equal to books, you display different section. If my category is not equal to books, display this particular section. Possible. I'll come back to a dashboard over here. This is my current layout, right? Under this, I'm going to add one more section. A section is nothing, just that you're adding some a different what we say, a area to current layout. So I'll right click over here, and there is something called as add a section below. When I say an add in section below, it just have added a section that you can just distinguish it. So I'll come over here. I'm going to change the height of it so that we can see what are the changes we are doing. So I'm just going to say I want to display the above section until here, and below that I just want to display the second section. I just want to keep it as less less height. So you can see this is my second section and the above one is my first section. Within the second section, let's say I'm going to, from here I'm going to add a category as a text field. Within the category I want to add, let's say, revenue. Okay, simple thing. I'm not going to do much formatting over here. So just the category attribute and revenue metric. Now I will come to the requirement which says that if I select a category books from here, okay, if I select a category books from here, I want this particular section to be displayed. If I don't select category books, or I select any other categories, my above section has to be displayed. That is also possible within the dashboard, and that is something called as conditional formatting. And how you can do that? Just right click over here, go to the conditional formatting, you define a condition and you say whether you want to hide or not. And I need to display the below section when the category is books. So when I want to hide it when the category is not equal to book. So I'm just going to add a condition. I'm going to say when category is not equal to, not in list books, I want to hide this entire section, and I will say okay. When I want to hide this above section when the category is equal to books, so I will again go to the conditional formatting. I will add a new condition, and if I say if the category is equal to books, I'm going to hide this object. I'm going to say okay. I'm going to say save, and now when I go back to the dashboard and if I refresh over here, we will see the conditionally show and hide of the section. So if the category is equal to books, you can see only the text field has been displayed. If I select any other categories, my above section has been displayed. So it's another good way of interactivity, I would say. That depends again upon your requirement. But if you look over here, we are conditionally showing and hiding the required section. So if I say if my category is equal to books, the second section is getting displayed, which under which I have just added a dynamic text field. And if my category is not equal to books, the above section has been displayed with the formatting that I have set up. So if in case you want to do it any such kind of a requirement, you can always apply the conditional formatting. Is this clear? Any question over here? No? All right. Okay. Apart from this, there's one more simple thing that I wanted to show you, and that's going to be, I think, that's going to be the last thing. Now, let's say I have all these reports and dashboard in my MicroStrategy web. And what if I want to subscribe this report that should be sent out to a user via email or via export on a certain schedule? Let's say I'll take a simple example. Every Monday morning, 10 a.m. my report has to get kicked off and it has to be sent out as an email to the user. I need to create a subscription for it. So now my requirement is, the first requirement is Monday morning 10 a.m. That is called as schedule. So you have to ask the MicroStrategy administrator saying that I need a schedule of Monday morning 10 a.m. Once that schedule is ready, you can go ahead and create the subscription as per your requirement. You can select the report you want to subscribe. You can select the format. Either you have to send it as an email, or you have to send it out to your printer, or you have to send it as a file. You can select the corresponding subscription. You can select the corresponding schedule, and that's it all. So whenever that schedule has been triggered, that is Monday morning 10 a.m., automatically my subscription will also get kicked off. So now let me come back to this MicroStrategy, and if in case I want to schedule my dashboard, we have created one dashboard, right? and I want this dashboard on which I need to create a subscription. So what you can do is come to the dashboard, and there is an option where you can create a subscription. You can do it for the report as well. So if I go to the report, even under that I can create my subscription. So let's say I want to create a subscription for dashboard. I'll click on subscription over here, and under that you can see I can create multiple subscription. I can send it to my mobile device, I can send it as an email, I can send it as a file. When I see a file, it's just going to create an export and save under some shared location. So whatever the subscription, whatever the types of subscription you want to create, let's say I want to send it out as an email. So I will say add an email subscription. You can give any name of your subscription, and the main thing is that you have to select the corresponding schedule over here. Our requirement is Monday at morning 10 a.m. So this schedule is already available in my project, and that's the only reason I can select it. If in case I want a different schedule, I can just ask the Microstrategy admin guide to create a schedule for me, and that particular schedule will be available over here. So once I select that schedule, you can select the user to whom I need to send out an email. So as of now, I already have this user created. If in case you want a different user with a certain email address, so you can add a username, corresponding email address over here, and I can say add to recipient. So even that particular, oh, this has been already created. If I say add to recipients, and that particular user will be added. I think that user is under my list, that is XYZ. You can even add it over here. So whatever the user want to add as an under tool list, CC list or BCC list, you can add over here. You can click on OK. In which format you want your report or a document, you can select over here either in a PDF or Excel or whatever the formats you want to select. And once you click on OK, it means that every Monday morning 10 a.m. the subscription will be kicked off and the corresponding job will be executed. So we have selected the email subscription. So every Monday 10 a.m. you will receive an email which will have the export of your document. Now let's say I want to create a different subscription. This is an email subscription. Let's say I want to create a file subscription. So I'll come back to a file subscription. I will say add a file subscription over here. I'm going to select, let's say again Monday morning 10 a.m. This is the location where I have specified. I have created one a location which says okay, a location device where I have specified this is the location where my file has to get saved. Which format? Let's say I will select a flash format. I will say send a preview now, and I will say okay. Once I say okay, the subscription has been created successfully. And now if I go and check under that particular location, so you can see under file subscription this has been created successfully. So if I go and check under that location, I can see an HTML file has been created. This is the HTML file format that has been created. And if I double click over here, I can open with an Internet Explorer, and you can see that hopefully this should show me the data, and you can see my dashboard has been available. So you can see that I will just select one of the dashboard. Okay, you can see that the dashboard has been executed and it is saved under one of my location that I have specified. So even if in case you want to schedule your dashboard and you want to save under some shared drive or something, even that is possible via subscription. Okay, so there are a few more types of subscription that you can create. You can even send it out to your mobile device. So when you log in from log in into MicroStrategy via mobile, a message will be popped up like, okay, this report is available for your view, and when you click on that message, it's going to show you the data. So depending upon your requirement, you can create the required subscription, and based on that, whatever the schedule you have set it up at that particular instance of time, your subscription will be kicked off and it will be ready for your view. Is this clear, guys? Any question over here? No? Perfect. So we saw entire we saw the all the things about the dashboards, we saw the widgets, we saw the panel stacks, we saw the linkings, and we even saw how we can conditionally show and hide the section. After that, we even discuss about the subscription. So I would say that is all that we have from the training. We have covered all the topics that we need to from the training is concerned, and that is all that I have from my end. So if in case you have any question, any doubt, you can reach out to me anytime and we can discuss it out accordingly. Okay, so I would really really wanted to thank you for joining on for the training. And if in case you want to discuss something right now, please feel free to do that. If in case you have any feedback for me, please feel free to provide your feedback as well.
Thank you, Panish.
Mm-hmm.
I will get back to you if I have any doubts. So
Sure.
maybe, right?
Yep, definitely, sir. All right. So thanks a lot,
Thanks.
and all the best for your work that you do in MicroStrategy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. Cheers.